Aside from the original game, Sims games on console have always been a bit weird, but weird in a good way. With these games, I felt like Maxis were able to be a bit more creative with their ideas, outside of the PC games, which all tend to be kind of the samey. This started with the Tinsel Bluffs, which sort of acts as both a definitive version of the original console game, as well as the start of the split between console and PC versions of The Sims. The Tinsel Bluffs was the second game released by EA and Maxis on the consoles, and had a very short development time of 6 months, with it releasing on December 16, 2003, just 11 months after the first game on the consoles, which explains why this game just feels like an expanded version of that game. Tinsel Bluffs released on the Xbox, Gamecube, which is the version I played the most, PS2, and even the Game Boy, but the less said about the mobile Sims games, the better. First thing you'll see when you start the game, aside from, the long ass loading screen, is the menu, which gives you two options. Free play, which as it says is a mode where you can just play with no real direction. Then you have the bust out option, which is a story mode for this game. The create a sim in this version isn't much better than the original game. You do have more options, and wait, I feel like there's something behind me. Must have been imagining things. The create a sim has always been one of my favorite parts of this series, even if this one is a lot more simplistic than later games. I still love looking through the options. Now that we have our sim created, and he's looking pretty debonair if I do say so myself, it's time to bust out! Story starts out with you dreaming while asleep standing up like you're Lloyd from Tales of Symphonia. Before you are woken up by resident millionaire Boomer Malcolm, who has shown up and started calling you lazy, and telling you just to work harder to be rich just like him. Typical Boomer stuff, before stealing your scooter and taking off. Turns out he's been doing this to several houses. Now we have to choose a career and start our adventure to steal his mansion from him purely out of spite. The best motivation for getting rich. As with the original game, the first house you start in is your mother's. This area and the following area both act as tutorial areas, with you only needing to really take care of yourself. Your mother's house teaches you about half of the core gameplay mechanics of the game, which are your needs, which they teach you by introducing one of the main systems in the bust out mode, goals. Goals are the main way you progress through the story, as well as how you unlock all the items in the game. The goals in the first house are just about increasing your needs, which are hunger, sleep, comfort, fun, socialization, bladder, and hygiene. I chose the movie star career path as it's the best job for someone who likes to hear themselves talk, well, aside from YouTube. Now that we have a job, we can move out, and here's where Sims Bustin' Out story mode separates itself from the original. It has branching paths. You see, your career choice determines who you'll be moving in with, and what items you can unlock, giving this game's story a lot more replayability than the original. The first house we move into is Mimi's house, who is the spoiled daughter of Boomerman, who shows up as you move in, calls more people lazy, and steals some shit, before running away. As I mentioned before, this house is also a tutorial of sorts. At Mimi's house, you learn how to progress in your career through the increase of your skills. These skills include charisma, cooking, mechanics, body, creative, and logic. Each career path will have you needing to increase 2 or 3 of these skills to a certain level to get promoted, which you'll need to do twice to move out. And this is where the difficulty of the game comes in. The balancing act of keeping your needs up while making time to increase your skills, as well as going to work for 8 hours. You'll have to sacrifice some of your needs to advance in your career, as there's not enough time to do everything. Usually it's your sleep. Sacrificing sleep so you have time to get everything you need done. Why does that sound so familiar? If I finish this video in the next hour, I'll be able to get 5 hours of sleep. That's 1 more hour than usual. Getting promoted the second time, we unlock the next house. A house that should be familiar to any Sims fan, the Goth House. Rolling up on the house, Boomerman shows up again and does his thing before leaving. As it turns out, this house is also haunted, and this is where the final new objective tab comes in, helping the people that you've moved in with complete their goal. For each house it's different. Here at the Goth House, we have to exercise the ghosts that are living in their house. We'll need to get the seance table back. Of course, you don't have to do this, but they do get a little mad if you don't when you leave. This house is probably the house where I had the worst luck. I got robbed 3 times, and the kitchen caught on fire like 3 hours for work, so my needs were drained, and here is where the game can get its most difficult, when bad things happen back to back. First, your kitchen catches fire and burns halfway down before the firefighter puts it out, which means you have no way to eat, and the fire itself drains your fun and comfort, so now 3 of your needs are really low. There are also ashes on the ground which needs to be cleaned up, or you can't replace your appliances, but you can't clean them up because you have to go to work. Work which drains the rest of your needs, leaving your character basically dead by the time they get off, meaning you'll have to skip a work day so your sim doesn't fall over dead. Truly, the worst thing in this game is an unfortunate event. Or in this case, a series of unfortunate events. Wait, what's this? I owe you money? What the hell? It's not my fault you got robbed 3 effing times, and now I'm poor. Fantastic. I hate old people. The next house we move into is by far the worst in the game. It's a club run by very early 2000s hip-hop characters. The reason this place is the worst area in the game is the fact that they don't have some basic items needed for survival. They have no beds, no fridge, no shower, and no stove, meaning upon arrival you have to buy at least $5,000 worth of stuff, which unfortunately I didn't have because my last roommates robbed me of all my money, because they got robbed. I went up selling their paintings to for the stuff. I hope they weren't attached to those. Something I haven't really mentioned yet is how bad the AI for your roommates can be. Like, they can't do anything for themselves. The entire time I was in the club, wannabe Eminem over here was in the red. Several times I had to switch over him to get in the shower. Honestly, unless you need the extra money that they make, which I did here, it's best to let them take care of themselves. Or, for the most part in this game, not take care of themselves. Like that's before, once you get promoted, you can bounce on to the next one, which is exactly what I did. Screw the side missions, I'm out of here. They got a little bit mad at me for that, but then gave me $20,000 for the improvements I made. Which is honestly way less than I deserve. After all, I made this shitty club livable. Without me, they would have died. Those lazy bastards piggybacking off my hard work. Wait, where did this hat come from? The fourth and final house you unlock before you get to the Boomer's mansion is Tinsel Bluffs. The Sims here, like you, are both actors struggling to get their next hit, which is their side mission, to find them a hit sci-fi script. This house also bugs you to get married, so that's what I'm going to do. Renting other Sims in this game is incredibly easy. I mean, I was accidentally lovers with like 4 different Sims. It's that easy. Just get their approval to like 50, then flirt a couple times, maybe dance, and boom, there's a heart. Unfortunately, you can't marry any of the story Sims. I know, I tried to marry Mimi just to spite Boomer Man. You either have to marry one of the pre-made Sims in Free Space 1 or 2, or do what I did, and create your own wife in free play. There she is, and while she isn't as beautiful as me, most people aren't, she's still pretty good looking. I'll move her into lot 3, build her a house, and now we just call her over. Okay, now that she has a phone, let's do this. And now I'm married, which is something I never thought I would be able to say. Now let's get ourselves promoted and leave these wannabe actors in our dust. I'm a producer now, I don't have time to waste on these people. I need to move myself into a mansion where I belong. What was that? What about that movie script? Find it yourselves, why should I have to help you? Work hard yourself to find your script. Become self-made like I did. What the hell am I wearing? What the hell happened to my voice? Okay, now that I'm, well, more me, let's move in that mansion and get that final promotion. No. 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 No! I guess this game really is the perfect life simulator, as at the end of the day, just like in real life, it f***s you over. The Sims Bustin Out is really just a revamped version of the original console game, with them just making some tweaks to the gameplay, like slowing down the rate that your needs drain, making it easier to get things done. And of course, the biggest change was to the story. They gave you a reason for climbing the ladder of success. And with differing paths to get there, it gave the story a bit more replayability. Each career also had its own ending, though for obvious reasons I didn't really get to see that. Maybe that was common for not helping the other Sims. Something I didn't really talk about is the co-op because I'm lonely and have no one to play with, but co-op is what I played the most as a child. It's honestly the best way to play this game, and what made this game one of my favorites in the series. Having the bounce between 2 sets of houses lets you unlock more things. Having the bounce between 2 sets of houses lets you unlock more stuff, and prolong the story. And it's just fun to have someone to experience all the misfortunes of this game with. Like I said before, The Sims Bustin Out started the split between console and PC versions, and that continued with the next game, fittingly called The Sims 2. But that's a game for another day. If you like this video, give it a like and comment and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.